Shalom, oneness of souls begin no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahshua, B'Shem, Ka'akadash. Double honors to the apostles of great millstone, and honors to brothers doing the work of the most in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, of whom the world English calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahshua, meaning in, Ha meaning that, and Sham meaning names Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, just wanted to touch on this, man. I was what you call commuting. I was just looking at these Edomites, man. I was like, man, these are the men that run the world, right? It really just goes to show you the power of the Most High, because you'd be looking at these Edomites like, damn, just really shows that that the Most High is the one in control, right? So this is Romans 9, right, 17. Right, it says, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. So, and that's quoting Exodus 19 and 6, right? Exodus 9 and 16 rather. It says, and in very deed for this cause have I raised thee up, for to show in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. Right, when you look at the destruction of ancient Egypt, that sent a proverbial shockwaves, right, throughout the what's the word? Basically throughout the world. Okay, this is, where is it again? I've not read this one in a minute, so I'm gonna just need to remember where this is. I've not read this one in a while. Joshua's not Judges, right? This is Joshua 2 and 8. I'll start from 8, right? It says, and before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof, right? And she said unto the men, I know that Yahweh hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you, right? For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you, right, when ye came out of Egypt, right, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. But Yahweh, your power, he is the Most High in heaven above and in earth beneath. So when you're looking at what the Lord did to Egypt, right, he allowed Egypt to become a great empire, right, and after doing that, he brought them down in a great fashion. Right, now two things are going to happen. So let's grab this as at first, right? It's Revelation 1 and 7, right? Because he cometh with cloud. Behold, he cometh with clouds, right? Representing the chariots, which so one man calls UFOs, right? It says, and every eye shall see him. So when we just read what Rahab said, that she said, we heard this time they're gonna see, right? And as the saying in the world goes, seeing is believing. It says, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. Okay, so this time around, right, you basically have a situation where, the Lord is gonna, show himself, to by way of this destruction, right? And then we're gonna end up in a situation where you're gonna have this happen, right? As Jeremiah 16 and 14. So therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? So in the time of Pharaoh, it was a great destruction, right? So just like how you have what's the word I'm looking for? So just like how you had Egypt fall, right? America and the new Egypt is gonna fall, right? And in doing so, right, the previous power structures are going to be made to look like nothing, right? And the Most High is going to be praised, right? And then the Most High is going to put the fear again into Israel, because right now people don't fear the real Israelites, okay? We're just a proverb and a byword to them. It goes on to say in verse 15, but Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I'll bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Right? So the Most High is going, basically, create a situation where, um, you know, we're going to be delivered, right, by way of these chariots. Okay, how the intricacies of when and how and whatever, we don't know, right? But we understand through the precepts and the prophecies that it is going to happen. Okay, and the land of the north is referring to America, right? Because it's geographically north, right? And also from all the lands we have driven them, because we were scattered, right? That was part of the curses. Okay, and it's Yahweh that's gonna bring us back into our land, not no Boeing jets. Okay, and no decrees or whatever, right? So going back to the point being made in Romans 9 and 17, right? For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Right? It's the same reason why E has been set up. Okay, the Lord is the one that that set him up, that put him in the position that he's in. Right, despite the fact that he he wants to take basically wants to take up all the credit, right? No, you understand that really he's just been given this power, right? It says, let me grab this. I've been reading this one a lot recently, right? It says Isaiah 10:13, right? It says, for he saith, by the strength of my hand have I done it, and by my wisdom, right? So he's trying to take credit for all of these things. But as we're about to read, right, it's the Most High that has put him up in the position that he's in. Okay, so it says, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent, right? Look into this word. Prudence is to discern, understand, consider. So like it says bayan, right, in the Hebrew, right? It says it's basically to understand, right? To be wise and stuff like that, right? It says, and I have removed the bounds of the people, and have robbed their treasures, and have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. Okay, so he thinks that he's done it of his own accord, right? But we understand through the prophecies, right, that he's really just a pawn of the Most High, right? So let's grab this as well in Daniel, right? It's Daniel 2:21, and he changeth the times and the seasons, he removeth kings and setteth up kings, right? He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. So the Most High is the one that is basically, for instance, if you watch Game of Thrones, you can see them like moving, pieces or around like a board. That's what the Most High is doing. He's the one that's ultimately in control of everything, right? And right now, he has basically set up the basis of men, right? So this is Daniel 4:17. It says, this matters by the decree of the watchers, and demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, right? Because why? It's in the power of his hand, right? And it says, and set it up over the basest of men, right? And this Edomite, once again, when you observe him, you're like, man, this guy's just base. Like he's the lowest. He's the scum of the earth, right? But through the power of the Lord, ultimately, right, he's been made into this angel of light. So the scriptures talk about that, right? Satan be transformed into an angel of light, right? He's used his media to make himself be a quote a hunk, right? He's used his media to change the perception of him. But it's like, once again, the beauty of this truth is you really start looking at him for what he is, right? And that is base, right? He may use his media to make himself seem so small, so desirable, but it's just like, you look at him, it's like, bro, this is a heathen, man. The heathens, right? This is what Job said, right? This is Job 30 from the top. It says, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock, right? Because they be hella into that, bestiality, man. Okay, these Edomites, they're just not right. Verse 2 says, yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. All right. But let's read some of these. Right, fleeing in, the dark nations, got together to force the Edomites out, man. Right, because wherever you go, right, even to this day, it's like, right. This is Malachi 1:4 says, whereas Edom, let's read from 3, right? It says, and from 2, It says, I have loved you, saith Yahweh, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh, yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and I laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. Because even that, it's like how he has what's the word, wherever he goes, right, he just causes wickedness. But on that last point right now, he is exalted, right? Most High has put him in this power seat, but the Most High hates him such that he's the only, what is Zondervan's Bible dictionary frame it as, right, the only neighbor of the Israelites promised no mercy. Okay, and we can also jump to in fact we can read that as well. Is the one of Maccabees here? No, it's not here. So let's just grab this, right? So Proverbs 29:16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. And that's what we're waiting for. Right? We're waiting to see the fall of these Edomites. Even on that, let's grab that as well. Right, it says Sirach 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, right? And the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy, right? And that's what we're looking forward to. Looking to see the fall of this man. Okay, and then just back on the point of what priest I was looking for in First Maccabees, right? It's First Maccabees 1:9. It says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after the many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay, so that's what Esau does. Wherever he goes, he pushes evil, right? And that's what the Most High has used him for. Okay, yeah, i.e. the basis of men, right? So that's what we're reading here in the book of Job. So let's carry on. It says Job 30 and verse 4 now, right? It says who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat, right? They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, right? And this the irony, because he now goes around, calls everyone else a thief, especially Jake, right? You be calling Jake a thief, but these times Esau has stolen people, he's stolen heritages, right? You know, he's basically said that he's everyone in history. Okay, but this is it. There was a time when they were driven forth from among men, and we're gonna go back to that, right? We're gonna basically go back to that, man. This is Isaiah 13. Oh, get this 13 and 4. Or this 14 mixed up. Made 14, right? It says Isaiah 14, and I'll start from 15, right? It says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the houses of his prisoners? Right, all the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, and everyone in his house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden underfoot. Okay, so basically he's going to be brought down. Right now he's in this. I said he's been put in this position, but it's a position that he's not supposed to be in. Okay, and once again, that's one of the things that gives us comfort, is that these things are but for a moment. Okay, right? The Lord is going at some point, put things back in order. This is Ecclesiastes 10:7, right? Because right now this is the situation that it's in, right? It says, I've seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth, right? And this Edomite is the ultimate servant, yet he's in the power seat, right? But the Lord is going to correct that. Okay, the Lord is going to raise us back up. Now you read Wisdom, the 5th chapter, right? Speaks about how we fools accounted his life madness, referring to the Israelites, and his end to be without honor, right? Yet we're gonna be honored, right, by way of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right, by way of election. So it goes on to say back in Job 30:6, right, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks, right? So basically going into the fact, I mean, they call themselves Caucasians, okay? It says, among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. Okay? So these Edomites, they're vile, they're the basest, yeah, they're the ones that rule the world, right? And that's part of the annoyance of being in this kingdom. That's part of our punishment, right? To have not just our enemy over us, but the basest of man over us. Okay. But the beautiful thing, the comfort is that it's only but for a moment. Right. So I just wanted to touch on that. As always, Lord's all that was edifying. Until next time we say Shalom.